Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 9. How is everyone doing today? I am your host, Cheese05.
And I am your host, Simply. And this is the Two Dads Podcast live.
Live.
Of course, available on iTunes and Android if you're trying to get on the audio-only version, or you're driving around, you don't got the bandwidth to go on YouTube. We got you covered. And yeah, it's been a couple of weeks, but Cheese has moved into his new place, and we're ready to party.
Great place. Much bigger room, too.
How do you like it so far?
It's amazing. I kind of feel like I'm actually on kind of like vacation. I don't know. Every time I go on vacation, we go to a hotel or something, I kind of get this feeling like, I don't know, you could just do whatever you want. You feel kind of free and relaxed. I feel like that right now. It almost feels like I'm just on vacation for a while. So that means that I love the house. I think it's exactly what we needed. And I have a huge room now, so I can get like a mic stand, a green screen. But nah, I don't really want a green screen.
At some point, you gotta get the cool looking little diagonal box things that everybody gets behind there. I forget what they're called, but they help with your sound apparently.
Right. Okay, so give me the news, Simp. What's going on in the speedrun world?
I'll give you guys the rundown. Okay, we got some exciting things. First of all, if you didn't know already, which if you're into speedrunning, I don't know how you wouldn't know. It's all over Twitter and everything, but the SGDQ 2018 games list is officially up, and of course, Cheese05 and Punkation got their 70-star race in, so that's very hype. Definitely check it out. A lot of good stuff. Zelda Wind Waker HD going to be on there for the first time since Barrier Skip. That's pretty hype.
That's awesome.
There's probably way more hype stuff going on, but I could spend days on it, but we'll keep it going. Of course, Ouija 14. I think he's 15 now. Got the 16-star world record. Beat it by like 5 seconds. That's pretty crazy. What do you think about that, Cheese?
I think, dude, it's monumental. 16-star world record has been the Japanese category for I don't know how long. And dude, when I heard he broke the world record, I mean, I couldn't believe. I thought, if anything, he was going to go for 70-star, and then he went back to 16-star. I don't even think for that long. And then he gets this world record, and I just, oh my God, I felt so happy. And when I watched his VOD, the emotion, it was a lot like the reaction that I had on my first world record for 120-star. The panting and kind of like, oh my, you can't control your breathing. It felt so good watching that, and I feel so happy for him. I hope he goes for 70-star, which he said he would. So him and Tago going for 70-star, that's gonna be pretty exciting. Congrats to Ouija, dude.
Indeed, definitely earned it. Was on the grind, really hard, doing many hours every day. Just shows you that you put in that work, you can make it happen.
Yeah, dude.
Our boy Nicrovita got another any percent world record in Odyssey, 103.19, going for that 102. Not quite there. I'm sure he can do it, but it's going to be a really good run, it seems like.
Do you know if he's getting like competed? If again, like, what is the second place time? Right? Is it close to world record right now anymore? Oh, you're not sure.
I'll peep that really quick for you, mate. Let me get that information up there. So you've got Nicrovita with a 103.19, and then you have Shaden with a 103.41, and he got that 10 days ago. But I don't know if Shaden's grinding for it. And then there's 2 other people with 103s.
Really? Who are they?
Susaiga 5 days ago got a 103.55, and Goryuya,
holy crap,
13 days ago.
That's awesome. I don't even know who they are.
A whole lot of competition coming in for Odyssey. It's very exciting stuff.
Awesome, dude.
And that's about all I got for you. There's a lot of world records, but
there's actually I mean, a little bit controversial, but a very new thing that happened in the OT community. And I thought I should mention, because it actually is a big, part of the news factor in speedrunning. And today is going to be a lot about OT, because we have the OT guys here.
That's right.
So, as most of you know, VC, or 100% is now run on VC, because VC is the fastest. There's been a new route that's been worked on for months now by quite a few folks. A lot of hard work. And it's just a lot of Monka ass in chat. It's something called an ESS adapter for VC, where it basically makes ESS positioning a bit easier, to put it the short way.
ZFG also sweating here.
Right, and some people don't know how they feel about it. Some people want it, some people don't. And it was voted in by, I think it was like 65% or so. And there's been a lot of controversy, but that's pretty big news in the speedrunning community right now. But okay, I don't think there's any more news to be dealt with right now. And after that one, everyone is super excited. Okay, so I guess I'll go on to the guests. Our guests today are none other than ZFG1 and Fig02. Their names are quite similar. 3 letters, 2 numbers.
Woo! Yeah.
And they're pretty big. I mean, they're, for the past few months especially, Fig has been going hard in routing and stuff in 100%. He's been putting lots of hard work. And of course, ZFG has been known for forever in the OOT speedrunning community. He's been here for 10 years or more, playing OOT, grinding 100%, and just dominating the category and other categories as well. And yeah, without further ado, I would like to invite ZFG and Fig to the stream. Welcome, guys. How y'all doing?
Hey.
What's up, man?
Not much.
What you sipping on, Fig?
Got that blue moon.
Blue Moon. Shout outs to ZFG Cam. It's my favorite.
ZFG,
Looks pretty good.
Looks pretty
a
good
little bit
today.
hungry right now.
A little bit pixelated, but sorry. All right. So what's up, guys?
Doing good.
All right.
Yeah, not much.
We like to typically start it off with a little bit of a run back. So if you want to start, we'll start it off with Fig. Take us back. How'd you get into this whole world of speedrunning?
All right. So how I found out about speedrunning is actually pretty interesting. My hobby before speedrunning was I used to produce music, kind of like how you do now, simply.
Okay.
And in like 2015, I was a part of this group of people that was actually trying to make a Super Mario 64 HD remake thing.
Oh, really?
I was on the music team for that, yeah.
Oh,
like most fan games, it didn't really get anywhere.
Mhm.
But during that, there was a post where this guy was like, hey, we got some people who can play test the game, including some speedrunners. And I was like, who? What? And then I just looked it up, eventually came across GDQ videos and stuff, and the rest of that was, yeah. It's just how I found out about it. I started with Majora's Mask 3D, actually. Found Gymnast and Ben Stevens streams, and then eventually moved on to Ocarina of Time. And yeah.
How long ago was this that you found out about speedrunning?
2015, 3 years ago.
Okay.
Damn, it feels like you've been here for a hot minute.
Yeah.
Longer
It feels
than
longer
that.
than that. I'm surprised it's only 2015.
Yeah,
All right.
still relatively young.
How about you, ZFG? What's your story?
So when I was a kid, I always liked to look up glitches in all my favorite games. So I just go on sites like GameFAQs and Cheat Planet, and they just had like lists of cheats and glitches and stuff. Actually, one of the first games I actually looked up glitches for was Mario 64 DS.
Oh,
that
wow.
actually has some really cool glitches.
Interesting.
But then eventually found like OOT glitches. And I was also a really big Zelda fan, and I went to this Zelda fan site called the Hylia. And one of the guys that one of the main writers on the Hylia was TSA, an old Zelda speedrunner. And one day he made a post about Kazooie's 446 no major skips OOT run. This was back in like 2006.
Oh my god.
And so I was
Wow.
already interested in glitches, and this is when I found out that people actually use glitches to go fast in games. And I thought, oh, that's really cool. It's like an actual use for glitches. It's not just messing around with them for fun. They can actually do something. So then I found SDA from there and just thought it was really interesting and kept going with it.
And you just haven't stopped. You've been going. So since 2006, you've been going?
Yeah. A long time.
My goodness. And has it always been OOT?
I've jumped around from a few games, but OOT has been the main game. Like I've done a little bit of MM, a little bit of Metroid Prime, Minish Cap, a little bit. I ran Mario for like 2 months.
Nice.
How do you
in,
feel
like,
about that
2010.
one?
It was fun.
Okay.
It was fun for a little bit, but I don't know. It didn't capture my attention like OT.
I have to know, is it true you actually
Sorry.
beat Siglemic in a race
Yes,
back in
it is
2010?
true.
Really?
I did beat Siglemic in a race,
No
but
way.
the catch is that this was before he was good.
Right, yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Okay.
but yes, it is true. I beat Siglemic in a Mario 64 race. My greatest SM64 accomplishment.
Right. What was I gonna say? Right. So I mean that baffles me, the idea that you're able to play Ocarina of Time since like 2006 and you still have so much passion for it, and that's what is so. That's what I love. That's what I love about you, and that's what a lot of people are like.
Oh, thanks.
Dude, a lot of people ask questions like, I don't know, is ZFG able to play still? And dude, I asked the same question because, you know, I've only played Mario for 4 years and I reached a point where it's, well, I can't play the game physically for every single day without taking a break after like a month or two now. It's reached that point. I've kind of accepted it. You know, I play for a month or two. I go hard. I'm like, all right, I need to take a month off now because I just can't play every day. But
Gotta get some chicken dinners.
Yeah, so I think the reason that I can keep motivated with OT for so long is that the game just changes so much and there's so much to do.
Exactly.
Like every few months we get a new glitch, we get a new route, we can change everything so much. Like some of the shorter categories don't change as much over a long period of time, but I also don't really do those shorter categories as much basically because of that reason.
Right.
But then like the longer categories and the more like not as much serious categories, but like some of the more outside categories like max % child or 100% no source requirement, I find those super interesting because they go into like the really, I guess, more obscure parts of OT. Like they do really crazy stuff that a lot of people don't know about in the game just because they're not used in more conventional runs. And so I just love like how much there is to the game. There's just so many different ways you can do everything. There's so many glitches you have at your disposal to do so many different things in so many different ways. And routing is so complex but interesting because of that. And all these other categories are really interesting because of that. And so it feels like, even though it is the same game, it feels like it's still changing. And I don't feel like I could really play other games for nearly as long. Like if I was a Mario runner, I couldn't do it for 10 years no matter what. Like, because I mean that game, it still changes. Like you still have, you know, your new strats and stuff every now and then, but it's not nearly the same degree as OT.
It's I can't agree with you more, and I feel the same way because Mario is that grindy game. Mario is all about getting faster and faster, and the sole purpose of beating your PB in the same exact route and same strats all the time, because the route in Mario doesn't change, because it's an extremely linear game when it comes to routing. It's one castle, stages, and that's it, you know. So routing and stuff never changes, and I can understand that. Strats do change, but very, very tiny amounts of time saves and slowly compared to OT, I think. So it's a lot more grindy, and OT opens up that world instead in the whole routing process. And that, I think that's a huge
like
difference.
So many different ways to approach everything.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that makes a huge difference.
So I guess the same question for Fig. Do you feel like that's why you're able to, or why OT stuck with you? Because it's just changing all the time.
Yeah, like about a year ago when I was doing Hundo, when we've had the same N64 route that was basically the same structure for like a couple years.
Yeah.
I was kind of like Cheese, where I would, you know, grind for a certain amount of time and then feel like I need to take a break. You know, I've played other games like Majora's Mask, speedrun Breath of the Wild when it came out, you know, a bunch of other games. But now I've been playing OOT for longer than usual because of all this change that's going on. So it's a lot more stuff to work on besides just grinding on the run, and it's a whole new run to work on. So I've been playing for a lot longer now than I have in the past, but yeah.
Okay. And I was gonna ask ZFG, because of the changing factor in OOT all the time, do you just find a lot of enjoyment in being able to show the audience all the exploits there are in OOT? Do you find that joy? Do you get joy in doing that? And that's what pushes you to play it?
Like, I would say that's like one of my most motivating factors actually, because I
Right.
love showing people like the crazy kind of stuff you can do, and I love seeing people's reactions to seeing
Exactly.
certain crazy glitches the first time. And I love just like showing off the crazy kind of stuff that can go on in this game.
Yeah, it gives
There's
you
just
that.
so much.
Yeah.
And even like even for the people that have watched OOT a lot or feel like they know a lot of OOT, they can still they can still watch something completely new because there's just so much stuff. Like even I don't know everything about this
Mhm.
game, and there's still like so much to learn, and it just never ends.
Right.
Yeah, same. I see new stuff all the time. That surprises me.
I wish I had that
Pretty crazy.
feeling. I don't know about you, Sam. But I wish I had that feeling when I play Mario a lot. It's like, the same grinding of runs all day. I just wish there was something new to like show. Hey guys, look at this. You know, I could do this, and this thing is different here, and
Yeah,
that's why I need a break more. I think.
well, I don't know about you, but like personally, when there's changes in Mario, like sometimes there's definitely been times where I'm like, okay, I gotta hop on that. Can't wait to save a couple of seconds. But then other times it kind of feels like a chore because it's like looming over your head. You're like, well, now I'm behind and I got to make this change. But it seems like both of you guys are very motivated by change, which is awesome to see.
Yeah, I always love when new strats are found because the way I see like new strats, even if it's something small, I always view new strats as like free time save because you don't have to get better to do it, or most of the time, but
Yeah.
it's just like, hey, you do this strat instead and you save time instead of this other strat.
I think
It's
there
super-
is something to be said though about like needing to adapt to that change, and you have to spend more time getting used to that and getting better at it. Because I
Mhm.
mean, I'm experiencing that now even with VC. Like I put in a lot of time and it feels like I'm not getting anywhere, but um, it's all a part of getting used to that change.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. Cool. Well, I guess we can jump into the main sauce, unless you guys have any other things to say about yourselves or about what you're doing.
Yeah, I think we can move on.
Okay.
Cool. So obviously, it's a big change, N64 to VC. And I've seen some clips, and there's a lot of really cool stuff that I've seen that I've never seen in N64. So is there a lot of new stuff going on in the route? Like, it's definitely not looking the same as N64, right?
Yeah, so it's actually a lot of stuff taken from an older version of the VC route. So like so even though VC wasn't faster for a long time, people still kind of ran VC and created its own exclusive route because VC and N64 both have their own glitch advantages and disadvantages. And for a long time, it was just N64s outweighed VCs, but VC could still do its own unique route that had like using Furrow's Wind on B a lot, and for some using some unique Furrow's Wind on B wrong warps. And so this new route, it takes that old route and kind of morphs it into the big thing that gets added into this new version of the route is a glitch called Ass Chest, a
Oh,
very
baby.
very old and funny glitch that has been completely useless for 9 years until 2 months ago,
Yep.
and we can use it to get Spooky Mask very early, and it skips a lot of the child mask trading sequence.
Oh,
Okay.
And it's a part of the child section that takes a long time, and we can cut out a large part of it. And
Wow, that's interesting.
it
Actually,
makes the route it makes the child portion especially a lot faster.
not as boring.
But the catch is that you have to do some really big detours to fit in the glitch. Like you can't just while you're passing by you do this glitch so you get it so you can save time later on. You have to change the whole route to fit in certain things to make this glitch work, and all these detours like cost a lot of time,
Right.
but then you'll save that time back later on.
And that's what's so great. But that's what I'm guessing makes you love OT even more. The whole changing of route.
Yeah. This route
Huge
was a
strat
huge-
change to save some time.
Yeah, this route was like a huge puzzle. We spent like 2 months trying to figure out how to do this task as fast as possible, but with all these restrictions on it that kept us from doing what we wanted to do.
Right.
So it was just like months of back and forth of different
Yeah.
route ideas that achieved that. But yeah.
I think we had like 6 different route ideas, variations of certain things, and like we all thought they were just complete trash. And then
Yep.
we finally settled on this one that seemed like it was the least trash.
Yeah, it still has some bad things about it, but we took care of it as much as we could.
So, question:
Yeah.
Do you guys kind of feel, because late last year, when the new N64 route came out, and you guys put so much work into that, and do you guys kind of feel like, oh my god, all that hard work with the new N64 route, now we have to route VC? Do you feel like it went to waste, or do you think it was still a big achievement find that new N64 route?
I think that we were able to take a lot of those ideas actually from that new route on N64 and implement it to VC. So it wasn't
sick.
a complete waste,
Nice.
but it was still, it sucks that we could only run it for like a month, 2 months, and then it was obsolete right away. But
Yeah.
it wasn't a complete waste at least.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a little sad because I think the N64 route, the most latest N64 route, is probably my favorite version of any Hundo route. This current new route, like, I still like a lot. The fact that it uses ass chest at all is still amazing to me.
Yeah.
But
So,
I will have a
Uh-huh.
little place in my heart for that N64 route. And
Yeah.
I think one good thing about it is, even though it lasted such a short time, it was the route that I got to show off at AGDQ.
That's true.
And so a lot of people will see that route. I wish my run was better. I wish it wasn't
Right.
such a dumpster fire of a run. But I'm glad people got to see it there.
So who exactly found that ass chest was indeed faster? Was it both of you guys?
I guess it
Yeah.
wasn't any specific person because I guess I can take you quickly through the process of how the routing went. So like
Sure.
after AGDQ, when we started doing the routing, ass chest wasn't quite an idea yet. We went for like a week or two just trying to generally optimize the route. And then I think it was Jolin that came up with the idea of using ass chest.
Yeah, I think so.
And so, yeah, shout out to Jolin for that idea.
dude.
And then I think we tried to fit it in early on and it wasn't quite working out well. And I wanted to see if, like, how much should we really push to get this idea in? So what I did was I timed only the time saves that would come from doing ass chest. So what I did is timed only the child section and see, because all the time saves would be in the child section and all the time losses would be in the adult section. So I timed, if we assumed 0 time loss in the adult section, how much time will it save in child? And that time save came out to be 4 minutes.
Wow.
And that's huge. And so if it was like 2 minutes, I think we might have dropped it early on.
Yeah.
But because it was such a huge time save, we pretty much all decided, okay, this is such a big time save. Even if we're going to have to accept some really big time losses, this is probably in the end going to be worth it. So we should keep trying for this route.
Right. Yeah, and I can also speak a little bit to how we found out that VC was even faster.
Sure.
So we never actually timed N64 to VC directly, but in December, RTA Real Time Attack 64, he did a lot of work on the VC Hundo route. He timed a VC route idea that was very, very similar to the N64 mushroom route, the new route that we had, and it turned out to be slower, but not by too much.
Like 30 seconds or so?
I think it was like a minute and a half slower than.
Okay.
Oh no, sorry, it was that mushroom route timed to the older VC route, which was about 1:30.
Okay.
But so now that proved that the older VC route was faster than that mushroom route. But if you compare that to N64, that loses barely any time. It's still a little bit slower, like 40 seconds or something. But VC has very quick loads, very quick pauses, and almost it's
No
not
lag.
no lag, but it's it's very minimal lag. So we could pretty much assume from that VC is at least faster.
Right.
And then ZFG, myself, and many other people worked on improving that route even further to save even more time.
That's
Okay.
awesome.
So who, I guess, if you need to get, or shout outs, who deserves some shout outs for this new route? Obviously you two, but who else put in some work?
Blenny, Jolin, Purple Photon, RTA. There was probably a couple more. Do you have any ZFG?
I think Massacrise helped a bit. Scurvy
Oh yeah,
helped a bit.
Meso, Skirty. Yep.
Probably more people we're forgetting. There was quite a few people that helped out.
Yeah, and people like chime in in the Discord. They like see our VC Hundo conversation, and they'll like see something that they know about and chime in,
Right.
and then we take those ideas into consideration.
I think that's really important to mention the people, because like I get a lot of people saying, dude, have you seen the route that ZFG made? It's just, everyone thinks it's ZFG's route. And it's like, come on. We have to talk. We have to mention everybody. Make sure people know that a lot of other people put work into.
Yeah, many people were involved. And also the people that made the older VC routes, which influenced the route that we made too. It's like, it's so many people. So we're very grateful.
Awesome.
Cool. Do you have anything, Cheese?
In terms of the VC routing and stuff, not really. Well, I did. I saw VC runs by Danny B recently, I think it was, and I just saw that it was just completely different. And I saw one thing in particular that I was that I wanted to know about was adult Deku Tree.
Mm-hmm.
You do Deku Tree as adult right now.
You do, yeah.
Yeah.
And I saw some crazy tricks there, and I wanted to know about them.
Yeah, so that was actually something that got found as we were trying to optimize the VC route, like right after AGDQ. So one of my personal biggest complaints about the VC route was that we did adult Deku, which at the time visually looked very slow, because to get the gold skulltula in the back, you had to go all the way around the basement, just like go through a bunch of rooms for no reason, because you just didn't have a way to pass the crawl space.
Basically casually, but as adult.
Yeah, yeah. And so I just personally felt like adult Deku is so slow. We got to make this faster. And so I think, was it Jolin actually that found the crawl space skip?
Blinny.
So, or was it Blinny?
Yeah.
Yeah, Blinny. Okay. So Blinny came up with the idea of combining ledge cancel on a block, which allowed you to stand on this little platform that had a torch on it, and then you could hookshot clip out of bounds with the torch while getting damage boost by a bomb. So you land in the crawl space, and then as you land on the crawl space, you can kind of just barely move around it, so you can land on the other side of it.
Yeah, it's insane. And
it actually surprisingly isn't a huge time save. I want to say it's like 15 or 20 seconds. And then so it's a really cool trick. It definitely makes adult VC or adult Deku Tree not look as bad. And then another time save we got was going out of bounds to Goma's loading zone, because this is actually one of the things that kind of came around because of a new version of the practice ROM. So we had a new version of the practice ROM released basically during AGDQ, I think, or like right before AGDQ. Yeah, and it had collision view, and so we can see all of the collision in a room. And one thing I tested with that is turn off all the textures and look at the collision for Goma's loading zone from the room where you get the last gold skulltula. And I noticed you could probably go out of bounds and hit that loading zone from somewhere in that room. And there's like little grass, little piece of grass that you can do a super slide teleport on. And I was thinking, oh, maybe we can do something with this, and we can use it to get out of bounds. If we can somehow shift our momentum in a certain direction, we can probably hit the loading zone. And then someone else, I forgot who. Jolin? Okay, yeah.
Damn, Jolin
found, Jolin found with a very specific set of frames, you can do a mega side hop off a bomb chew inbounds while you're out of bounds. It only works with, like, you have to drop the chew on the 8th blue flash and then wait 4 frames and then do a roll. It's very specific. It's
crazy.
Everything
very specific.
Just like OT in general, everything is very specific and frame perfect.
Yes. It's very specific, but you can do that and then go to Goma's room from out of bounds, and that just skips going back through the crawl space using a weird shot and then talking to the scrubs below.
Oh, so you skip scrubs now. Nice.
Yeah.
Yep. It skips weird shotting back and then dropping down and then doing the scrubs and all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. I'll have to see that. I haven't seen a whole lot of the new route yet.
So wait, so child 1. Oh, okay, so child 1 you get bomb chews in Kakariko, I'm guessing.
Child 1 is just bottle, bomb chews, Zelda, and do a little bit of RBA right before the end, and then Master Sword.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It should be easier.
I was about to say.
For some reason, it's harder, and I can't get a try.
I feel the same way.
No way. Okay.
Should be easier. I don't know why it's harder, but
I think
I
it's
think
just
it's-
adapting to change, dude. Just like the
Exactly,
title
yeah.
says,
Yeah.
man. Adapting to change.
hopefully once I get fully used to it, it'll be easier.
Same,
Right.
yeah.
I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
There've been many
So-
strats to it. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that there are many strats in Mario as well, where it's like obviously simpler, but just takes a while to get used to. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
Just getting used to, and then even once you're used to it, like you practice it and you get it figured out, putting it in a run is a whole different beast.
it's a
Getting
different mentality.
used to
Yeah.
the flow,
Yeah, exactly.
It's like once you have a timer running, it's like everything's a little different.
pressure's on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this sounds like it's been a pretty big community effort, which is awesome.
Definitely.
And obviously there's a differing opinion on like virtual console. You guys go for like the fastest version, whereas Mario's kind of goes for N64 just because we're old boys and we can't adapt. But is there like controversy with switching to VC at all, or is everybody pretty down with it? Is everyone like, yeah, do it because it's the fastest?
I think it's less controversy and more. Some people are just a little bit upset. Not like upset as in mad, but upset as in like just a little sad that N64 isn't faster. Because I personally, I am always going to prefer N64. I'd
Same.
sure love it to be faster.
Mm,
But I wouldn't say people are like upset as in mad.
yeah.
It's kind of the natural order of things in OT.
Mhm.
Fastest version changes.
I feel the exact same way.
And one thing I do want to mention about like the difference between Mario and Zelda for the reasons for keeping the versions like in the same thing is because in Mario it's kind of like they're the same game. It's just one has less lag.
Yeah.
But in OT, both versions have a lot of their own unique differences. Like
Mhm.
VC can only do this stuff, N64 can only do this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we were to like completely ban a version, it wouldn't just be okay, you can't use, less lag to your advantage. It's also you are cutting out a lot of these unique tricks that you're just saying can't be used when they can. It makes the run more interesting because you have more options, you have more routing options, you have more glitch options to see what you can do with them.
I totally agree. And this is a huge topic of controversy between OT and Mario 64 with the VC and N64. And I too I felt sad as well when VC became the thing for 100%. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to. I don't want to. No, yeah, I really.
I want to make N64 faster again. I'll do whatever I can.
There was a few
I can.
times I said things like, "God, it sucks being on VC, whatever." But it's just me feeling sad, and I totally accept it, and I think it's amazing that you guys keep finding faster routes and stuff, and the work you guys put in.
Yeah. So does that mean you're still not gonna come back?
I honestly don't look forward to playing on VC at all. But I'm not gonna make that completely stop me from playing.
Yeah.
I don't blame you, honestly.
Okay.
VC kind of sucks.
Okay.
Damn.
But it's great that you're totally willing to switch to VC. And ignore that.
I still think the overall route is worth it. Like I still love the category.
Of course.
So I'm willing to sit through it, just accept it.
Yeah.
Same.
Okay.
So is everybody switching over, or are there still some boys that are staying strong with N64?
There's still some people.
Yeah.
Ooh, interesting.
There are some people who are sticking because they prefer the route, because they prefer the console. And there are some that think that they'll switch to VC later, but it's not worth getting used to all of that new change when they want to get a better time first. So
yeah,
it's a mixture of both.
Yeah. Although there's definitely a new wave of VC players. It's definitely the hot.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. There's a bunch of people who didn't do 100% because it was on N64, and now that it's faster on VC, they're trying it out. So
that's cool.
Yeah, because historically the OT community has always been majority VC players, just because it's always been like the easiest version to get anyway, and so a lot of people just get it because everyone has it. It's the easy version. You just hack your Wii and there you go. So OT has always been like kind of majority VC players because of that.
Right. I'd like to get I know you guys' opinion on, because you actually mentioned about banning VC or whatever like that. I don't think that should do that at all. But I would like to know get you guys' opinion on just the idea of separating leaderboards, separating VC and N64 and stuff, having separate leaderboards for VC and N64. What do you guys think about that?
Let's see if you go first.
So I used to be very against it because the way it used to be is kind of like how I mentioned with Mario earlier, where it's not really different between versions. It kind of used to be like that with OOT, where most categories were the same on both versions, and it's just VC was faster. And so if you were to split the categories, it would be like, oh, that guy on N64 gets free N64 world record because no one runs N64. Nowadays, it's not really the case where categories are actually pretty different on almost every category. Some only small differences, some really huge differences, like 100%. And versions are, each version for each category is actually a lot, not super competitive, but like more competitive than it would have been a few years ago. Where like there's pretty good times on both N64 and VC for most categories now. I still don't know if I would be for separating, but I'm not nearly as against it as I would have been a few years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, I personally feel like the drama that it would cause and all the controversy might not be worth it, but I would be very interested to see what it would be like if they were separated. And the strongest point for separating is, like ZFG said, how different the routes are for pretty much every category, how different, all the version exclusive glitches and routes are, while still staying kind of competitive. So
yeah, actually one more thing I want to add about the version exclusive glitches. Something that's happened over the last like 2 to 3 years, I guess, is almost every single category now has a version exclusive glitch that route for that version is based on. So like version exclusive glitches are a very big thing now. Like pretty much every route for every major category will use one of them based on what version you're playing. And if you guys remember IQ, that thing that the Chinese cheat box that everyone hated,
the console on the controller thing.
It's kind of dead because it doesn't have that. Like it's based on N64 1.2, which means it doesn't get the VC exclusive glitches and it doesn't get the N64 exclusive glitches because the N64 glitches are 1.0 and 1.1 only. So IQ is kind of dead because it doesn't have its own useful glitches, and so every other category is kind of based on, except for glitchless, obviously. Every other category is based on version exclusive glitches now.
Are you sad that that cheat machine is gone, or?
I'm glad. I could definitely do without it.
I joined after that machine was already dead, so I don't really have an opinion.
Have either of you played on it before?
No.
I tried doing dot skip on it at AGDQ on Harpoon's IQ, but I couldn't get it.
Yeah, that
I
thing
saw
looks
the
like
controller. It doesn't look comfortable.
I've never even seen it. I wish I saw it.
It's just one big boy. Like, isn't the controller?
The controller
it's
is the console.
It's the console itself.
Wait, but how? Oh my god! How is Nurses able to?
It gets really warm when you play it for a long time too.
Oh really?
You got a built-in hand warmer.
Dude, yeah, man, that's a perfect hand warmer.
Dude, that'll get your hands all sweaty though, and then you'll just be sweating all over. Yeah. Thank God it's
in the summer.
Okay.
So now that, I guess, would you say that VC is solidified as the best version for 100% in terms of time save, or could N64 make a comeback?
If N64 were to make a comeback, it needs to be a new glitch. But because it's OOT, I wouldn't completely rule that out. I could see a world where a new glitch comes around, it's N64 exclusive, and N64 makes its comeback. But as it stands right now, VC is pretty much faster.
Yeah, and I think that, I hope that a 1.0 glitch or a glitch that helps N64 is found, but I think that as more people switch to VC, I hope that there's still people playing on N64 to actually find those glitches. Because like if nobody's playing on it, then there's no way that those things are going to get found. But I think N64 will always stay relevant for OT, so there's still hope.
Yeah, and it is important to note that N64 is still good for some other categories. It's not like VC rules the leaderboards. It's still good for I know I am wrong warp, Ganonless, and possibly all dungeons, but it hasn't been timed yet.
Okay. Just to get clarification, how much faster exactly is VC 100% than N64?
The
But,
route itself is 2 minutes faster, but lag and loading has not been timed. We estimate it to be about 3 minutes, so that would put it at 5 minutes faster.
Wow.
But we still have to measure that.
Yep.
Incredible.
So how is the measuring, like, how do you do that? Do you just take a video of like a piece of movement and a video of another piece of movement, look at it, and then you have like a really long list of all these different comparisons?
For route differences or lag differences?
Both,
route
actually.
differences. Yeah, I
Route
guess both.
routing, yeah, it was done by video. We get for this last route, we split up the work, so ZFG recorded all the optimal segments and sent me them in clips, and then I put it in a video editor, basically splicing all the differences between the two routes, so that we can see how they turn out in terms of time. And for lag, thanks to Glank with his practice ROM and all that, we're able to use the lag counter on that on both consoles and compare the differences between those to measure that, which I'll get around to soon. I want to do runs, but it does need to be measured so that we have an accurate number. So
Right.
we'll get around to that soon.
Dude, hats off to you
And
guys. That's a lot of
that
work.
lag counter is actually a big reason why the VC practice ROM exists now, because it actually did not exist before GDQ. And then because of the whole, we wanted to measure VC lag and stuff, that kind of kickstarted Glank to work on VC practice ROM.
That's awesome.
Has that all been Glank? Like, is it him on his solo mission making that ROM? Or
Yeah,
is he
pretty
a-
much. He started it on his own a couple years ago. It was actually the practice ROM started out as this program that he ran on his computer, and a USB cord ran to a Game Shark. And it was a very basic version of the practice ROM, a couple menus. And then over time, I think it was actually Alaris's idea to make it a ROM to use on EverDrive. And that's when it transitioned into that. And yeah, recently it was ported to VC. And that one is what involved a few extra people because Glank doesn't own VC. He had nothing to test on. And he doesn't have much knowledge about it. So a few people, Dragonbane, Crimtons, Volve, a couple others were involved in trying to help port that. And yeah.
Glank is the
Yeah, so
plot.
Glank's a legend.
Yeah, Glank is
Basically. I must say that the work ethic of the OT community is quite great compared to I mean, I could say to Mario, but I don't know about other communities in terms of just getting so far in that grind.
Yeah.
I
We
find it
just
so-
have so much to do.
I find it
Yeah.
so crazy. Yeah.
So ZFG, you did like segment by segment. You did basically the whole VC route, and then Fig, you went through and then compared those clips, or
Yeah. We pretty much just had to take every single part of the route that was different, record a clip for it, send it to Fig, and then Fig puts it on the video. And I think the video ended up being like 38 minutes long or something.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah,
40 minutes.
I remember seeing that.
Yeah, and the video that RTA did, the bigger timing for the older VC route versus the VC mushroom route was like an hour long or something, and that's that's a good indicator of how different VC is to N64.
Yeah, it's pretty huge.
Yeah.
A lot of
So-
work.
I guess for the casual man, I guess in my position, like I don't really know about either route. Do you think you could explain the differences, or at least the big differences from VC and N64 100% routes?
I think the easy way to put it is that VC makes use a lot of Furor's Wind on B, and what that is you can do a glitch called Bottle Adventure to get different items on your B button, and what's so special about Furor's Wind is that you can set Furor's Wind anywhere where you can use your sword when it's on B, which essentially means anywhere except for like some houses. That doesn't really matter. And so the fact that you can use Furor's Wind on B gives you a lot more access to wrong warps, because the way wrong warps work is it's based on both what cutscene you're loading and what other area you're loading at the same time as the cutscene. And most conventional methods of wrong warp is like leaving the room by going through the door or dying or something. Furor's Wind means every area in the game is one of your options. And so it has two really unique wrong warps that make use of Furor's Wind. One is setting Furrow's Wind in Lost Woods, and wrong warping from Deku Tree to Spirit Temple. And another one is setting Furrow's Wind in Kakariko and wrong warping from Dodongo's Cavern to the Nocturne of Shadow cutscene. And there's also some Furrow's Wind use later on where you set it in Ganon's Castle just so you can go down and get gold gauntlets and warp back up to the end of Ganon's Castle. But one downside of this whole thing is you spend a lot of the run without a sword equipped. Because you have Furrow's Wind on B, means you have no sword. And so the old route used hammer a lot, and in the current route we use Deku Sticks a lot as our sword substitute. And so it's kind of awkward. Definitely would be more convenient to just use your sword everywhere, so it's kind of weird not using a sword.
Right, and that's where VC comes into play too, because using Deku Sticks as adult will actually crash on N64. So being able to have a different option for just a weapon in general made this route possible. So
that's true. Yeah, I forgot
Is
about
that because
that.
of equip swap? That's why you can use.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
and N64
And that was like the
crashes.
big thing that made it possible, or made like VC the go-to.
Yeah,
Right.
it was actually. We speculate that once equip swap was found is probably the moment that VC became faster, but we didn't really realize it until a few months down the road. Because the interesting thing about equip swap is when it was first found, we kind of went through like 3 phases of how big we thought it would be. Like when it was first found, like hours after it was found, we kind of thought, oh man, this is huge.
Yeah.
Like a
Everybody was
day or two
freaking
after
out.
it was found, we were like, oh, it's all right. It's not huge.
Yeah.
And then like as time went on, we gradually find more and more uses for it, and now it's like a pretty significant thing.
Yeah, like our first iteration of the route that included equip swap basically only used it for pose, and that was it.
Yeah.
And then as time went on, we started using it to use sticks everywhere and equip, trade items as the wrong age and stuff. And we were able to incorporate it more, I guess, as we started to understand it more and understand its effects. And it helped us just save more time.
Okay, so this is for Fig. Earlier you mentioned that it's you kind of like you went through a lot of variations, like from heavy garbage to light garbage routes. So right now you're at like a light garbage kind of thing, you said. So is there
light
still
garbage?
Yeah. So is there still a lot of room left, or are you still finding stuff like weekly, daily?
Yes, but the thing is that the equip swap glitch that we were just talking about is very restrictive in how the items are laid out in your inventory. So it's actually been reduced, but a lot of our detours are based on the fact that you can't get certain items at certain times because it will mess up this glitch that is useful and saves even more time. So those detours are worth it, but trying to minimize its impact on the route is really difficult.
Okay.
So,
yeah. More specifically, what happens with equip swap is if, say, we were to use an older route and we wanted to do po-duping, for example, really early in the run, equip swap works by equipping an item over the first item slot that appears the closest to the side of the inventory screen you're shifting from. So like if you're coming from the map side, it would be the first column next to the map screen. And like early on in the run, on one side of the screen you have Deku Sticks, which adult can't equip, and on the other side you have Zelda's Letter, which adult can't equip. And so you can't do equip swap period under those circumstances. And then once you get some of the magic spells like Din's Fire, Furrow's Wind, Neighbor's Love, you then have access to equip swap on that side. But if you were to use those items for po-duping, then it would turn into a bottle, which is really bad because then it wouldn't be 100% anymore.
Yeah, just straight up erase an item.
Yeah.
So our solution was actually to do that po-duping as soon as possible. Like the first 25-30 minutes of the run, we go to go ahead.
And we also have to delay getting Deku Sticks early on in the run, so we avoid Deku Stick blocking equip swap.
Okay, makes sense. That's one thing that definitely always freaked me out about OOT. Was always making sure I didn't make that one tiny mistake that totally ruins the run. And there were multiple occasions where I realized.
In the last, like, go ahead.
I was just gonna say there were many instances where I realized that something was a bit off on my menu screen. I was like, wait, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
Shit, god damn it.
In the last like 2 or 3 days, I've lost 2 runs because I equipped over an item that I wasn't supposed to equip over.
Wow.
And
Oh,
it was
man.
an equip swapped item that I wasn't supposed to equip over, and it ruined everything, and I had to reset.
Those
That's-
small
Just
mistakes that
just
can
for
kill
equipping
your...
one item.
Right, yeah. Those small mistakes that can just kill your whole run are definitely more frequent in this route.
Ugh, sucks. But so T.
Yeah, exactly.
So I just wanted to know what gave you the motivation, especially to you, Fig, to work so hard in the routing process last year. Like all of a sudden, I saw you streaming every day, going hard in the routing, and before you were kind of not really into it that
Yeah.
much, I guess.
Yeah, it's that's what I find. Like I find doing runs fun. I like improving my time, but doing those things, those other side things with the game, like routing and timing and stuff, are very interesting and very fun to me. So, some people are always like, "Oh, I don't know how you can do that. Just sit there and edit videos all day." And
I
stuff.
find it
And
incredible. Yeah.
yeah, it's super fun to me, and I love seeing the final result and being able to give this information to the rest of the people in the community.
Yeah,
That's
I find routing just like super fascinating. I just think it's so interesting. Like honestly, when routing works out and when you're not like stuck with terrible routes in your route ideas,
Mhm.
then I think routing is super fun. It's like one of my
Yeah.
favorite things about speedrunning in general.
That's awesome.
And also other than that, like if there's a route idea going on and there's a possibility that it's faster, I then don't feel like it's worth it to do runs if I think, if this other route's there and it's
Of course.
faster, I want to do that route. So I want to shift my focus from doing runs then to make sure I can figure out if this route is good as fast as possible.
Makes complete
Exactly.
sense. That's why I feel now that, like with me and OOT, I think it's gonna take a really long time before I consider doing runs again because I have so much to catch up to before I can do runs.
Mm-hmm.
So we've talked about the differences. Are there a lot of similarities between the routes, like in terms of where you're going during?
Yeah, there's a decent amount of similarities. Like if you take it on an individual area basis, there's a lot of individual areas that are pretty similar. Like Dodongo's Cavern, aside from like the end part, is pretty similar. Forest Temple's mostly pretty similar. Like individual areas are for the most part generally similar, but on a bigger scale, things get really changed. Like the order of stuff you do is really different.
Right.
Aside from like some stuff in Adult 1, Adult 1 actually has like a very stable kind of process early on where it's like hookshot, hover boots, Song of Storms, bombs, bolero, minuet, ice
I feel like that
cavern.
would always be
Well,
adult
with-
one.
Yeah, with like
Yeah.
depending on your route, maybe you wrong warp to Spirit Temple from Dodongo's Cavern if you do that wrong warp or not. And then like so that kind of whole section from beginning of Adult 1 to Ice Cavern plus or minus Requiem is kind of feels like it's going to be pretty a staple in 100%.
Yeah, it's like different chunks of the run are the same in that small chunk, but they're just shifted in different places. And what makes it possible to do them in different orders is what's different about the route, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Like, what lets you to do those chunks in different orders is caused by these version exclusive glitches or things like that.
I see.
I see a lot of people in chat mentioning the Dawn Door. What is that about?
Dodongo Door.
The Dodongo Door.
It's a new-ish wrong warp where you can wrong warp from Jabu to King Dodongo's room,
Mhm.
and it's in the new route, but it's only a 20-second time save, and it's probably one of the more complicated wrong warp setups, and it's probably the least time saving wrong warp that's useful in any run.
So
Yeah.
that question arises: is it worth it? Should I do it?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like it's a 20-second time save. It was originally an idea that was thought of because in older versions of this route that we scrapped because they were bad, they didn't have enough bombs to move on with the route. So the only way to actually make these routes possible was to do this hard, or not hard, it's sort of hard, semi-difficult wrong warp to DC where there are bomb drops so that you can actually continue on with the route. So it was necessary in older versions, but now you can still do it in this version of the route, but it only saves like 20 seconds because you have more than enough explosives. So
Nice.
Yeah, and the only time save that really comes from it is you skip backtracking from one gold Skulltula in Dodongo's Cavern back to King Dodongo's room. It's only that backtracking that's skipped.
Yep.
And the wrong warp itself, like the setup for the wrong warp itself, is roughly even with the cutscene that you would watch if you didn't do it.
Exactly.
Okay. About explosives. So there's always OT's always been 100% at least grinding for bombs. Is that a thing anymore?
No.
Not so much. Yeah.
Nope.
We do. Yeah, go ahead. You explain.
Optimally, you should have no random bomb drops in the current route.
Okay. Perfect.
Wow.
And that's
Optimally,
mostly.
I have still had to farm bombs every now and then, but
Okay.
if you do everything right, you shouldn't have to.
Yeah, that's thanks to RBA. Early on, we RBA Kajiro, which is for a few
right.
things, but it gives you the 40 bomb bag, and
Right.
so you get a bomb chest, which gives you 20, which adds you up to 40. So you have a lot for the beginning of the run, and then we get milk, which when you RBA that also gives you bombs. So we can just do RBA
Like
whenever
you
we
did
need it.
in the newest N64 route, right? With the RBA
Yeah,
feature.
yeah.
Right.
And one thing to mention about milk was RBing milk. It modifies your bomb count, so that's why it's really good for bomb counts. But it was kind of an option in older routes, but it was never really useful because you got milk pretty late in the run, and by that point in the run, you generally wouldn't really have any bomb issues until the end of the run. But milk has gotten a lot earlier now, and there's also a lot less places to fill your bomb bag up normally without RBA. And so milk becomes incredibly useful because without it, we'd be pretty screwed with bombs, honestly.
Pretty much, yeah.
And we get it pretty early on, so we can make use of it a lot.
So you're just milking the milk.
Yeah,
Pretty much, yeah.
Majolk.
Majolk.
I love that word, dude. I don't even know how to pronounce it, but Majolk.
Nice. I have a question about the big boys, like the big RNG fests. You know, you got your Dampe and fishing. Are those still roughly in the same spot? I know you tweeted something about how fishing can be earlier, but you lose a little bit of time. Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, so in the optimal route, you do Dampe and fishing about 3 hours in, which is roughly the same as the old VC route, a little bit later than the current N64 route. But Skirty and I worked on a route that does Dampe and fishing an hour earlier in Child 2, because there's a Child 2 and Child 3 now with this route, which isn't normal for N64. But you can move it a whole hour earlier with the cost of 10 seconds, which isn't that much time.
Yeah,
it's enough that
That's
like
totally
ZFG
worth, in my opinion.
Yeah, like it's roughly the time it takes to do one Dampe try. So
Right, exactly.
Yeah, although I personally don't know if I'm gonna do it, but I totally understand most people doing it. But at least from my perspective, I kind of like it. I think there's certain positives to having Dampe late. The main thing being Dampe is being pretty late in the run. It means that if you get your good Dampe, the rest of the run is pretty easy.
Yeah.
And so like
Okay.
if you do Dampe earlier, then you still have some difficult stuff coming up. It would feel pretty bad to like get a good Dampe and then lose the run to the hard stuff.
You have to
That makes a lot of
maintain that
sense.
lead.
Whereas if Dampe is later on, I know from that point on, like, oh, the rest of the run's easy. I got this.
That makes a lot of sense. But it's easy for you to say, ZFG. You get first try every time. It's unfair.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on how you look at it. Like you either look at it as you get to get more attempts in earlier. Like for me, it's like I can do 2 attempts in a day if I reset the Dampe 2 hours in.
Exactly.
But if it was 3 hours in, I'd do one attempt to be like, nah, I'm done, and just put the game down. So
Yeah.
both of them definitely have their benefits, and it's really preference.
Are you guys? Are you a fan of like no matter what the Dampe you'll finish the run, or do you reset if Dampe bops you?
It depends.
I think for me, it's kind of like it depends on the run beforehand. Like if I'm having a good run and Dampe is, like let's say 12th try where like the run's dead, but the run's overall pretty good. I think I'll try to finish it, see what happens, because like it'll still be good practice. I want to see like what the run could have been if I assume good Dampe. But then if it's like if the run wasn't that good anyway and I got 69th try, I'll pass.
Yeah, it's like if I feel like if I don't have any more time for attempts, but I still feel like playing. I'll continue to try to get some golds or something.
Mhm.
But
Okay.
if I have time to reset, I'll reset, try again. Or if I'm like salty for whatever happened before, I'll just turn it off.
Right.
I got you.
At least I don't think for now you have to worry about it too much.
Exactly, yeah.
Because like I think your time right now is 4:17 ZFG.
Yeah,
that what the
although I
last
actually got second try in that run.
Oh, okay. But I mean, I'm sure that you can have a pretty bad dampe and still do that a lot.
for
So
sure.
Yeah.
yeah,
In fact, like the current record, like the 410 even got seventh
yeah,
try.
that was 7 tries. So yeah, on an N64, which is supposedly around
Yeah,
5
yeah.
minutes slower. So
Yeah.
okay, I don't think
So
that'll be a
sub
problem.
4 on deck. Let's get it popping.
About that.
Not yet. Not yet. It's getting close. I don't think it's there yet.
Yeah,
But I'm starting to think it will happen.
that was a
That'd be
question on
crazy.
the. I was about to say that's definitely gonna be a question on the Q&A later.
Yeah. That's a question I get in my chat at least 3
all the
times
time.
a day.
Yeah, 3
Oh,
times. I
even
was
more.
thought you were gonna say
Yeah.
like 10 or
Maybe
something.
3 times an hour is more.
Add a zero to
3
that,
times an
maybe
hour.
two.
Right. Okay.
Damn. Well, do you guys have anything else to mention on the topic of the new route?
Nothing else really.
Yeah, I think we pretty much covered most of the important stuff.
Okay. I guess we have to. We should get.
Yeah.
I guess we
boy.
should get into a little bit on the ESS adapter stuff.
Yeah.
Give us a run through. What is it about? What does it look like? I know you have one there, Fig.
Looks like this.
It's pretty simple. It looks a lot like the controller switches
Yeah.
that I have for N64.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, all it is like an Arduino in a box, right?
Yeah.
pretty much.
Okay, so what is it
Monk Ass
about?
is coming out.
Give
So-
us.
So on VC, the VC controls are not quite the same as the N64 controls because VC has a bigger dead zone and the stick is also more sensitive. And so this means stuff like movement is harder, aiming is harder, and most importantly, ESS is harder, quite significantly. And so this is harder compared to N64, where N64 has pretty good aiming, ESS really easy.
Yeah.
And so
Amazing
it's always
controls.
been like one of the downsides of playing on VC is your controls are not quite good. They're pretty terrible, honestly.
Right.
A little bit.
And so there's this ESS adapter that it was actually made many, many years ago.
Yeah.
And it's been controversial ever since it pretty much came around, that it modifies your controls to make it more like N64. So you will have your N64 feel on VC. And so it's been controversial for a long time. We've always kind of just danced around the topic, not really, people would say they don't really like it, and then that'd be it, and then people would keep going on with their lives. And so we finally got around to actually discussing it and making an actual ruling about it. Do we want to allow these or do we not? And after a lot of discussion, it eventually is allowed.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it's important to note. I think a lot of people who are observing this from the outside think that these adapters were banned and now they were unbanned. It was technically allowed and just never handled. So
yeah,
it's
it was just one of those things that it was allowed because no one said anything about it.
Okay.
Exactly.
So there was a poll recently, or like a voting thing done, and I think it came out like 65% said yes or something like that.
Yeah. The poll was more than 2 options. It was one of the big arguments actually when the S adapter conversation came up was that adapters like these RAFnets that convert N64 or a GameCube controller to N64, so you can use GameCube on N64 or vice versa, do that same kind of remapping. But the thing about the S adapter is that it does that with the intent of remapping it like a different console, which has some advantages.
Okay.
So the 3 different options on the vote were to allow both of these kind of adapters or ban just the ESS adapters because of what it does and its intent, or just get rid of all of them. So 65% voted to allow both of them.
Which I
And
agree
wait,
with, I think.
what were the percentages on like don't allow? And
Let me pull it up.
pull it up.
It was 65% for allow them, 30.7% for ban only S adapters and 4.3% for ban all adapters.
Wow. I'm
That
surprised
was
so
out
many
of-
people voted for ban both.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was a part of that. I think. Yeah, no, not I think. I know. I was in the beginning of the conversation. I was like, if we're gonna allow S adapters, we gotta allow all of them, or else all of them go.
Mhm.
But as the conversations went on, I started to feel that at least the RAFNets, they don't have a reason to be banned. They're really just for preference, and
Right.
we need to focus more on the S adapters.
Agreed.
And, yeah.
So what are you guys' personal opinions on the S adapt? Do you agree? Do you not?
So my stance was I wanted them banned. I think that the control issue is just a property of VC, and if you want to run on VC, that you kind of just have to deal with it.
Mm.
I disagree with the ruling, but I mean, it is what it is. I think one thing to note about the ruling is a lot of people that do want them banned kind of see that and they think like, wow, how does the OT community is like so fine with ESS adapters? Like, one thing to note is that 65% that voted to allow them is not necessarily 65% that think, oh, ESS adapters are super fine and I don't see why anyone has an issue with them. It's a lot of people that do have an issue with them, but don't want to ban them because there's not really a good way to ban them, which is something that I understand. I disagree, but completely understand with that reasoning.
Okay.
So ESS adapters are not necessarily like, everyone's super happy with them. It's just kind of like, well, we can't really do anything about it, which I will have to accept that, it's a pretty reasonable stance.
So do you think you're gonna use it?
It's already in the mail.
Sorry, no. I actually I bought this one in 2015 when I was brand new to playing OOT. I got it, and I didn't know that these had such like a negative stigma with them. I joined when Discord wasn't big, so you couldn't really talk with everybody as easily, and IRC was kind of dying. And so whenever I would ask about them in Twitch chats, streamers would just ignore them because of how negative some people view them.
Dang.
And so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna get one, and I ordered one, and I used it for like a week, and then ended up switching to N64 and never needing it. But yeah, now it's coming in handy, I guess.
I think the first thing that comes to mind, and one of the main reasons why I think people would be for it, is the idea that because N64 is the original console, you know, and it makes it more like N64, the gameplay wise. That's why people would think that it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, from a enjoyment perspective, it's like you straight up have no reason to choose VC controls over better controls.
Right.
It's just so much better. It makes the game to me even like more fun to play with the N64 controls.
But I mean, there's always the legality issue. Like it definitely is pretty fishy to completely change the inputs you send to make stuff easier.
When you put it that way, it sounds like really bad, but
yeah. I mean, that it is what it is.
That's what sparks opinions, is the way you think things, the way you put it.
Yeah. And as the conversation was happening, there were so many points and points of view for this thing that I had never even considered. There's like a huge document with like all these points that people brought up that if people are interested in how we came to this choice, you can read through that. I think it offers a lot of perspective on, it's not just, these guys think it's cheating, these guys think it should be allowed, that's it. It's like there's a lot that goes into this. So
right.
I'd be interested to see that. I don't know if you can post links to Jesus.
Yeah, sure.
I could post it. Just send me a Discord and I could post it.
Sure.
So you guys both, what controller are you using for VC? What did you use for N64? Are you using the same?
I'm using a GameCube controller on N64 and VC. On N64, I use the RAFNet adapter to allow myself to use the GameCube controller on N64. And I originally used the same controller on VC, although I actually tried out a different controller and realized a different controller was actually better for ESS.
What controller?
They're both Japanese whites. It's just different control sticks.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah, I use GameCube.
One's more new, the other one's more used.
I actually heard once somebody saying that the Smash controllers aren't as great for OT. Does it matter?
I don't particularly like them. I don't know if it's really like objectively better or worse. I know
Yeah.
some people complain about the triggers. The triggers definitely feel a little bit off. Personally, my biggest complaint about those controllers is actually the material it's made out of. It just feels very weird.
Exactly.
Just
Yeah,
weird to
it feels
hold.
cheaper to me. I don't know.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, totally.
yeah. I don't think it really. I mean,
Mass
there are some
produce.
people. There are some people that say that it's worse. I think it's just a preference thing. I don't think it would make you play worse. I don't think it would hinder you.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah, because I use one. So that's what I learned with. I
yeah.
just got used to it.
You gotta love the length of the cord on the new ones, though.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
God.
Yeah. Well, it's like I initially liked it, but a lot of the time it takes like I have my Wii pretty close to me, so I don't really need it, and
Yeah,
so
it's
the
just
wire's
bunched
just
up.
like yeah, it's just bunched up across my table and dragging on the floor, and kind of unnecessary, but whatever.
I don't know if you guys hear that vacuum. I apologize if you do.
Oh,
I
that's
don't.
good.
Don't hear
Alright.
anything.
Okay, good.
You're
I'm about
Gucci gang.
vacuuming at 1 a.m. I don't understand. All right.
So we got ZFG's opinion. What is your opinion on S adapters? Fig?
My opinion has been all over the place over the last couple of years, even. Like I said, I got this thing 3 years ago. And when I got it, the reason I switched to N64 is because I was like, oh shit, this is cheating. Like, why would this be wrong?
Right.
And I switched to N64, did Hundo and all that. And then as time went on and I heard more people's opinions on it and saw that it was being used more and more accepted, I started to accept it also. And
Okay.
yeah, it kind of grew on me. And then during this whole vote process, when I saw even more points of view and all these good points people had, I kind of just became neutral on the whole thing. Like, if people want it banned, that's fine. I won't use it. If it's allowed, I'll use it. I'm fine either way. I just want everybody to
Okay.
not agree, but like just come to like a choice on this and figure it out.
Yeah, like actually come to a ruling instead of
Exactly.
not really having any official ruling on it for years.
So you have a lot of first-hand experience using it, Fig. You know, like how it feels different. Have you used the ESS adapters, ZFG? Do you know the difference? Have you felt the difference?
I haven't used one yet, but I
Okay.
can tell you the difference between N64 and VC
Well,
is
yeah.
pretty massive.
It's pretty.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the S adapter that I have, I think there's some new ones that are going to start being made now, but this is pretty much the only one for a couple years or many years that has been sent around. This doesn't feel exactly like N64 to me. I kind of have to hold further out for ESS just a tiny bit, but it's not anything like VC. It's like not perfect, but it's enough to make it like N64. So
Okay.
I see. So in your personal opinion, do you find it like much easier? Is it a little easier? What's your thoughts? Like,
compared to
what do you
VC,
use?
much easier, much easier. It's just like it's like it's different from N64, but not enough to to be comparable to VC, I think.
So do you think with it being allowed now, do you think problems might arise in the future where people who don't use ESS adapters would be like, oh, I'm better because even though my time is a little bit worse, it was way harder for me because the controls were harder because he used ESS adapter. That kind of stupid thing. Or do you just think everyone is going to use ESS adapter?
I think over time it's probably going to be more people just switching over and using it. I think. I mean, if I'm gonna be completely honest, I think if you want to be good, you probably need to get one.
Right. Okay.
But I don't. I think people are just gonna accept it and just do it.
Become
I don't
more
think it's gonna be
neutral.
like. Yeah, we already had a discussion on it. I don't think we can really bring this topic up again. At least not for another few years. By that time, I think it'd be far too late.
Yeah. But that being said, that's not to say that you can't get good at VC controls. There are plenty of people who can do not exactly the same things, only because like Hundo has a lot more Hesses and stuff, so that adapter means a lot more to that. And there hasn't been many VC runners that do that, so we don't have a clear comparison. But there are people who, in general, are good at VC controls and can do both. So it's kind of hard to judge, but it's not like you plug it in and you're just like instantly faster.
Yeah.
Like it still takes practice and still takes getting good at controlling ESS, but it does, I think, provide an advantage in having the zone be bigger. So
Okay.
Well, I personally feel like it was the right decision. I know that I kind of forgot about this, but people brought it up in chat that when Cheese played on VC at SGDQ and got a time, he's using an S adapter, but also
I didn't
when
even know I was
Sig
using
got
acid adapter, dude.
yeah, I didn't know either.
I don't know.
And when Sig got, or sorry, not Sig, based Earned God, if you remember that.
Sorry, not Sig. Oops.
Well, Sig based Earned God used S adapter to get the VC world record, and nobody batted an eye about
I
that.
didn't
It seemed
know
like
that either.
so. And like if I personally was playing on VC, I'd want to be using one because I know that it's a little bit different.
yeah,
So that's how I feel about it. It's a very mature decision to make, or like it's very mature of you guys to finally confront the issue. So
Right.
respect to you for doing that.
yeah, it's been years.
Mhm.
Like these things were made in 2011, 2013 or something. Do you remember?
I want to say it goes back to like 2009, actually.
Oh my god. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn.
So they've been around a bit. And yeah, it's great to
So,
finally. Yeah. Go ahead.
you didn't submit OT 100% for SGDQ, ZFG. You don't go to
No.
SGDQs, do you?
Well, it's not that, like I specifically don't go to SGDQs. It just kind of works out that way. But yeah, I chose not to submit anything because I knew I was gonna keep running 100%, and I'm not gonna do 100% 2 GDQs in a row. They wouldn't even accept it. There's
Right.
no way. So
Okay.
Runner
Yeah.
guy doing bingo though. That'll be
Yeah.
hype.
That's
yeah,
really
that's
nice.
really cool. I'm glad that's in.
That's awesome. Are you excited to submit for the next AGDQ to show off the VC rep?
Actually, if I submit again at AGDQ, I think the most likely thing I'm gonna submit is actually 100% no store requirement. I really want to do
Oh.
that in a run in the marathon.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'm not quite sure if like the timeline is going to work out with that. I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing that run at that point, so we'll see. But that's probably the next thing I'd like to submit for a GDQ. I think 100% usually is like 2 to 3 years between runs at GDQs, so probably put 100% off a bit more.
All right.
Cool. Well, you guys have anything else to say on the S adapter?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think we covered it pretty well.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Cheese.
Yes, adapter. No, I don't have anything else to add. I know it's a topic that people really wanted to know about in chat, especially.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I guess we can get on to the Q&A section.
All right.
So if you want to ask a question, ask away. You can Twitch chat. If a question stands out to you guys, you can go ahead and just call it out and then answer it. Also, if you want to like guarantee a question gets read, you can post it in the Discord in the questions
Recommended.
section. Yep, that's what I'd recommend.
Alrighty.
And then I'll read those out to you guys as they come in. So
Ooh,
let
our
them
first
come
one.
in. Yeah, we were
Where's
actually talking about this.
Ever.
Aw.
Okay.
We got a lot of questions, actually.
First question: ZFG, when is Poggers?
Nope, not happening. 2,000 subs.
Please.
2,000
Really
subs.
want it. 2,000 subs.
Nice, dude.
So it's possible. Just got to put in a couple of bucks.
When ZFG returning to Super Mario 64? You know, actually, I'm pretty interested to know your take on Mario 64 ZFG.
I played it for about 5 minutes like 2 months ago.
Oh
Really?
yeah,
Ooh.
when that stupid end thing.
Yeah, you know when that clip above the Bowser 1 door?
Yeah, somebody like long jumped into the door and grabbed
That
the
was
top
so-
of it.
I was
Oh,
like,
right.
Someone posted the video of it like right
Yeah.
as I reset, so I was like, oh, let me go try this real quick.
Right.
He just long jumping into the door and bonking for like 5 minutes.
How do you do that?
I just wanted an excuse to not watch the intro again.
Okay. What do you feel about Mario speedruns exactly? Do you think
I
Mhm.
think it's super cool. Like I watch you a lot. I watch a lot of Mario runs a lot. It's definitely a really cool run to watch, but I don't know if it's really my thing to run.
And why do you think
Fair
that
enough.
is?
I just generally prefer running games that are more glitchy.
Okay.
Like when I mentioned earlier on, like how I got into speedrunning with glitches, I still feel like I'm more interested in the glitchy side of speedrunning,
Mhm.
and so Of course, I still like the fast-paced movement side, but the glitching is more where my passion is, I guess.
Nice. I think I could say I'm quite the opposite. I love the speed and optimizing just movement in a game to that level of just crazy fast-paced stuff. I like that kind of stuff.
How about you, Fig? What's your thoughts?
My thoughts. A lot of my speedrunning friends play Mario.
Did you play a lot of Mario? You grinded a lot of Mario.
Yeah, I played it a bit. It's like the game that I kind of played on the side whenever OOT was bothering me too much. I needed a break. I personally feel like just grinding stars on their own is really fun. Like I love just doing the spreadsheet.
Everyone finds that fun, yeah.
Yeah, it's super fun. RTA is it's cool to lower your time, but the process of it is kind of a lot for me, I think. It's just like it's fun when it's going well, but so many things go wrong in Mario. It's just like
but
it's just like
the upside is if you make a tiny mistake in a menu, OT runs over. Whereas if you make a tiny mistake in Mario, you only lose like 2 seconds and it's fine.
Exactly.
Even though we complain and reset anyway, but it's actually fine. We just don't realize.
That does happen.
We're all like that.
Yeah.
We just want the God run, man. It's too much to ask.
I do realize though from first-hand experience playing OT, losing a minute is really not a big deal. And
in Hondo at least.
Yeah, it's just it happens every run. It's a common thing, and there's a lot more space for time loss. Where in Mario we lose 5 seconds in LBLJ and we reset. We say the run's trash, and it's just incredible, that difference. And I mean, it really doesn't matter if you lose 5-10 seconds in the beginning, but we're just so used to it in Mario. It's like reset and reset. It's kind of bad.
Well, I think the thing about it in the beginning is though, like you've done so little of the run that you expect that a small portion of that run must be at a higher standard than the run as a whole.
Exactly. So yeah.
I've noticed it too when I switched from either shorter categories in OT or from other games, that if I'm playing Mario or no, if I'm playing Hundo after switching back from Mario or something, I make a small mistake and I get like really triggered and I'm like, damn, like I lost all this time. And I think about it and I'm like, wait, this is Hundo. I got all this time to save. So you need to like shift your mindset.
Right. Punky just made a joke saying cheating OT is free in Mario is really hard. No, the thing is that, okay, so in OT, and I had this mindset going into OT. I had the mindset where I'm accustomed to, if I lose 30 seconds, that is bad, and there's no way I have to reset. So in OT, where you make a tiny mistake and you lose like 30 seconds to a minute, it's getting used to that being normal and realize that 30 seconds to a minute, no, it's not a big deal 100%. But I'm not used to it. It was really hard for me to get used to that and just be able to be like, oh no, that's no big deal, dude. It's still perfectly fine.
Like the thing is, in 100%, there's so much to do. Like just the amount of content there is means that there's so many more places to lose time, but also so many more places to save time. And so you're gonna lose time in so many places just because of the length of the run, because of how much there is, and you just got to accept it.
Exactly.
To go off of that, I have a question for you guys. I know it definitely happens. People just get stuck resetting in the beginning on WOMPs. Do you find yourself resetting in the beginning a lot on Escape or like Child 1? I know you said you were struggling to get out of it, Fig.
Yeah, Child 1 in this new route. I'm not sure if it's because it's actually harder or if it's because I'm still getting used to the new Child 1 and how different it is. But yeah, I'm resetting quite a bit. But I'm hoping that'll lower a little bit.
Yeah, I at first I was pretty low on resets, and then like the last few days I've been kind of pressing that reset button a lot.
Yeah.
I think like when I start pressing it a lot, I just kind of have to get back in that mindset of, it's okay to lose time here. It's a long run. I just gotta, accept sometimes time losses here and there.
Exactly.
I'm still getting used to the route. I'm not working on the God run yet.
Right.
Bludgeoner23 asks, how do you feel OOT/speedrunning in general is growing? Where do you see it in 5 years?
I think it's growing pretty good. It's not like a gigantic growth, but it's pretty steady. It's hard to say where the community, like, I definitely think the community will be, I guess, probably bigger in 5 years. It doesn't really show any signs of slowing down, I guess. I'm sure the game will keep changing. I'm sure the game changing will bring in new people just because I think people are really interested in the way the game changes.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think it'll be, I don't think it'll be like explosive growth, but I think it'll be pretty steady for a while.
Yeah, I think like OOT specifically hasn't had a huge increase in the past up till now from how long I've been involved, but I've noticed an increase in general viewership for speedrunning in general and even OOT. So I think a lot of the growth will be on that side, and the number of speedrunners and people interested in actually doing it will increase, but probably stay around the same, I think.
Okay. Question from Calamar. He asked about Wii U VC.
Mm.
Give us a little rundown on Wii U VC.
Wii U VC, in theory, it's probably a little bit faster. It has a little bit less lag, it has a little bit faster loading, but it has really severe input delay.
Right.
And that's really bad.
How did they mess that up?
I don't know.
Gosh.
I don't know how they messed up VC twice.
Twice.
But it's hard for me to imagine someone getting good enough to overcome the input delay so that you would still overall be faster than VC. Because like I don't think the time save from the less lag and faster loading is very significant. It hasn't been timed, but it would surprise me if it's like more than a minute or so over the course of an entire 100% run. And yeah, I don't see anyone getting good at it to be worth it.
Yeah, no matter how much time it saves, I'm afraid I don't want to play on this.
Yeah.
Like this fucking block, and there's no notches in the controller, and there's input delay. And
yeah,
it's
we talked about how like we don't like VC controls. You know, ESS adapters aside, we don't like VC controls. Playing on Wii U is actually awful.
Yeah, it's impossible.
But the first time I played on Wii U VC, I went to Guerrilla Training Grounds and I tried to do weird shot to ice arrows. I literally could not do the weird shot because I couldn't press down. I spent half an hour on the weird shot. I couldn't do it.
God. I played Mario 64 on the Wii U at SGDQ. Yeah, it's SGDQ.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more simple though because yeah, huge. But I think it's a lot more simple than playing OOT because OOT has so much more like not only frame perfect stuff but the exact angle on the joystick kind of thing movement. Whereas Mario's a lot of more leniency with the movement.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ipsadi asks favorite sleeper run for HEDQ, whatever that
or Social Adventures or MM3D. One of those two.
Nice.
Everyone should watch those two runs. They're extremely cool runs that hardly anyone watches.
Favorite run? I don't know if it's necessarily a favorite, but I think a really good run that I want to watch is Skyward Sword. It's got into GDQ. I didn't like that game casually, but I think the speedrun is really good, and the movement optimizations and stamina optimizations are really interesting.
Nice.
How about you, Cheese? Got any favorites? Slept on runs in the?
No, I don't think I have any favorites. I'm open to whatever, dude. I mean, I don't know. And every GDQ I've been to, they were just randomly. I would pop in the stream room, and if I see a game that I don't know, and I think it looks interesting, I would watch like half the run and be like, oh, and then that's how I learn about a new game.
Gotcha.
And I think I'm more interested in the games I don't know because I would like to be able to get into other games and learn about other games I don't know yet, instead of watching like the same games again.
Dude, they have Getting Over It. That's speedrun. That's
gonna be interesting.
You gotta watch that. Gotta see Cuphead. Excited for that. Have you guys played Cuphead at all?
I haven't, but I've seen a bit of it.
Game's
It looks neat.
Yeah, I got it, and I was supposed to do like a blind race or something, which didn't sound that fun at all. But I got kind of bullied into it. But then I ended up quitting.
Okay, cool.
Luke Thomas AU asks, what are your hobbies and interests outside of speedrunning? What do you do practicing or streaming?
Not much really.
Yeah,
Speedrunning
you're going pretty hard.
Yeah, speedrunning is so time consuming, and that's probably its biggest negative aspect for me is that it takes so much time, especially doing hundo, that there really isn't much time for other things. And I'm even kind of worried because I'm going back to school this coming fall, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to stick with 100% the way I am.
Damn
But
it.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same. I get to watching a decent amount of streams. Like, I like watching a good variety of other speed games.
Yeah.
But yeah, mostly like speedrunning focus pretty much right now.
Yeah, like I'll pull streams up as background noise, but like,
Okay.
yeah.
Do you guys do lots of family activities or stuff outside with friends, anything like that?
Family, not so much. Some friends. I moved back home. I went to school when I went to college a year and a half ago. I moved away, and then I came back because I didn't like that school, so I'm taking a break. And so now all my friends from high school are out, at their schools. So there's not many people that I know back at home. So that has gone down. There are some people who are still in the city, some people that I know that I'll hang out with. But yeah, it's mostly work and speedrunning for the most part.
It's the lifestyle when you're going hard.
Okay. I actually have a question that I thought of. That I think I remember you talked about it on stream once, ZFG, and I'd like to know your opinion as well, Fig.
Sure.
About the reason why you prefer 100% to all the other categories.
You want to start?
The reason why I prefer it, well, I started with No I'm Wrong Warp. That was my first category, and I think that category is a great introduction to the game.
Totally agree. I always said that as well.
Yeah, it gives you just enough content to focus on starting out. It's not too overwhelming. It's a great starting category, and at a high level, it's pretty difficult. It's a lot of people like that category and grind it.
And there's no wrong warp, so there's no shit to make your brain explode.
Yeah, and Hundo for me is just like the category that it displays a lot of what this game has to offer, and it shows more areas of the game that you wouldn't see in your typical speedrun. And it also involves many, many Hesses, which I love to do.
Yeah.
I love
Who
that
doesn't?
option. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel a lot of the same. I love Hessing. I love the fact that it explores, pretty much most of what the game has to offer. Obviously, you skip a lot of stuff because of glitches, but like it's basically as much of the game that you can fit into a run without like super arbitrary rules. And it's just really just has so many really cool stuff. Just I don't know, it just has so much really cool stuff I love about it. It just has the most cool stuff that any OOT run can pack into a run.
I remember you mentioned on stream once that the more content, the better.
Yeah,
And
I generally agree with that.
I say the same. When people ask me questions all the time, gee, why did you do 16 star or 1 0 star?
Yeah.
And I just love the long speed runs, the more content, the fact that you get to run through the entire game and explore every stage, every star. That to me is just I think that's obviously cooler and more fun.
Yeah.
But other people think differently. Like people like Zaya. Zaya hates 120 star. They like the shorter categories.
Yeah. I think there's one like asterisk to it to make sure that the extra time has to be worth the extra content, because there are some runs where it's not quite worth it. Like I think the one Zelda 100% run that I don't think is worth it over any percent is probably like Skyward Sword. Because Skyward Sword 80% is already pretty long, and then 100% adds not the most interesting stuff.
Okay.
But for the most part, I do think that generally more content is better as long as it's worth the extra time.
Yeah, I agree, but I do heavily respect the people that like the shorter grindy categories, because there's so much cool stuff going on with all the small optimizations that go into things like 16 star and 90% OT.
Definitely.
I think that focusing on those things in a short run is like really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll definitely see
Good.
stuff that you won't see in longer categories. At least in 16 star, like they're too risky. They aren't consistent enough.
Right.
They look dope and they're super fast.
Yeah.
And it's cool to see it pushed that far. But what were you gonna say,
Yeah, like-
ZFG?
I'll occasionally do some of the shorter categories like all dungeons or MST. Still like an hour and a half, 2 hours long, but they're shorter compared to Hundo.
Mhm.
And doing those categories is still, it's like a breath of fresh air doing some different stuff. Like it's not as much of, giant tricks and, not being able to, you can't really like accept the big time losses there, but it's more focus on the small time losses, more focus on the smaller optimizations. And it's really nice, breath of fresh air, like a little change of pace.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
Okay. Interesting question from Total Mayhem 64. It's a question to all, actually. What are some ways in which your mentality affects runs? Is there a certain mindset or mentality that you've found works better or worse than others?
It's a good question.
So for me, I think, so I see a lot of people that, get upset about runs, like when they, have a bad run, they get really mad, oh man, everything sucks. Or like when someone has a really good run and it dies and they're really upset. And the way I always look at situations like that is it's just one run out of a lot of runs that you'll do. Like
Mhm.
if you lose one run, you'll do another run. And another thing about like when you get a really good run and you lose it, a lot of people are always like really upset. They're like, "Oh, I'll never play that good again," and it's that was the god run.
Right.
But if you got that kind of run once, you can probably just do it again.
Definitely.
Like if you're capable of it, why are you not capable of it twice, right?
A lot of people
So-
asked that one run you had that was 408 pace in Shadow Temple in that N64 route, and it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like
people
the
always-
run of everyone's lives, and then you just
Everyone
got
and others.
you just got totally bamboozled by Shadow Temple run
Yeah.
work. And I
Yeah,
still don't understand
know
how
what
it happened.
by the way.
Yeah, the funny
Yeah.
thing is that exact same night, 2 hours later, the exact same thing happened to me in a run I had.
Oh no.
But I questioned for days, like, how are you able to brush that off so easily?
Yeah, it's just I've been running so long. I just know that I can do it again. I'll just get another run and it'll be better.
It's incredible how good your mentality is. That's really admirable, actually.
Yeah.
I wish I could have a mentality like that. People could learn from you a lot. So what about you guys? What are your takes on that?
I'll relate it to 100% specifically. A lot of people feel that doing 100% wouldn't be fun, or they do it and don't find it fun because of Dampe. He's like the guardian of the run.
Mhm.
You get there and there's a good chance your run will die. And I think a big moment for me when doing 100% was shifting from the mindset of, oh no, is my good run going to get past Dampe, to how was my run up to this point and how can I improve it? And if it does happen to get past Dampe, great. Then I can move on and try to finish the run and get the time that I want. But I try to focus on the things before Dampe and try to see what I can improve on in that, and then improve on the run post Dampe in segmented practice separate from runs. So
Yeah,
helps deal
a
with
lot
that.
of people put very heavy emphasis on Dampe when in reality Dampe is one part of a 4+ hour long run,
Right.
and all the other stuff besides Dampe is going to affect your time a lot more than just Dampe.
Mhm.
Yeah, it really isn't that big of a deal. I would just like to add though on the Dampe aspect. A lot of people asked me, like, what if your run doesn't get past Dampe? It's, how, this run is so good, whatever, like you mentioned. And to me, at least personally, if I lose a run to a big RNG factor like that, I'm just like, oh, okay, well, I can't do anything about it. You know, there's nothing.
Yeah, it's
I
like,
can't.
oh, it wasn't my fault.
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
get mad at that. If I lose a run to a mistake that I practice, trick that I practice, something stupid, stuff like that, that to me is so much worse because I know
Yeah.
it's my fault.
Yeah.
No, I shouldn't have done that. You know, but you know,
Although there's also, I think there's also people that look at it from the opposite direction. They see, if you make a mistake and lose a run, then you can just get better at it. But there's nothing you can do to Dampe. Dampe is just nothing. You can't get better at Dampe. You just have to accept it. And then I think that can make some people upset that they can't have control over that.
I think it has to do with me being a perfectionist. I don't like making mistakes that I shouldn't make.
Yeah.
How about you, Simp? Big Simp. Big Daddy Simp.
I've personally found over the years the best way to look at it, at least when you're in a run, like you can't get overwhelmed by the thought. Like there are so many times where I would reset a lot and I was like, man, if I can't even get past this, then how am I going to get past the whole hour and a half rest of the run? And I realized that it's important to just only focus on what you're doing at the moment, like a mindfulness thing, like be present and only really focusing on, like personally, I try to take it one star at a time because when you think about the whole run, it's like way too much. Like
Right.
it's a lot to think about. And I can only imagine that it's more so in OT because you're like, wow, I have to do hours of all this stuff. I got to remember all this stuff, do all this stuff right. But the way I do it is one step at a time. And piggybacking on what ZFG said, you'll always get that run again. If not, a better run. Like as long as you keep playing and you keep practicing and you're dedicated and you're passionate and your heart's in it, you will ascend.
Yeah,
Agreed.
that's the hard part
Yep.
though, accepting that the run would happen again or even better. Because a lot of times you want it to happen now. I want it now.
Yeah, that instant
But
gratification.
I think what people fail to realize is that even if your PB might not be getting better, you are still getting better.
Absolutely.
And
Right.
it's hard to wrap your mind around that when you are kind of frustrated at not PBing. But you just have to remember that like you're still getting better and you will get a better PB because of it. Even if you lost that run, you'll get it again.
Right.
Absolutely.
If you got that run, then it means you're capable of getting that run, and so you can do it again.
Precisely so. Sometimes you don't even have any idea what you're capable of. And then you pull out a run and you're like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like, that's the next level.
I've had that happen so many times where I didn't think I was capable of a certain kind of run, and then I got on that kind of pace, and I'm like, wait a minute, I can do better than this.
Would you say
Yeah.
the 408 run that you had in Shadow Temple was one of those runs?
Yeah, that was definitely one of those runs. There's actually one specific run a long time ago. I want to say it was like a 437 or something. It just felt like a random old normal run, and I was at like 5 arrows, which is probably 3/4 of the way into the run at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at my time, and I was 8 minutes ahead, and I was like, wait a minute, this run's good.
Right.
I thought this run could be way better. And yeah, so I just like, you don't realize how much you've improved sometimes until you see the time and then you realize this is a really good time, but I can still do better.
Okay. All right. Any new questions, Sim?
No, I think we're good. Got through the questions. Great questions, by the way. Thank you, everybody.
I just thought of a question actually.
Ooh.
And it just went by me. No way. It was a good question.
Oh no.
Damn it.
Damn.
Wait, I have to remember this one, man. Dude, I
It's all
can't remember.
focused very hard for Cheese.
It's rip. It was a good question. I had it while you see if she was talking, and now I lost it.
Sorry.
Well, rip.
Okay, I'll ask Ram's question since he's prodding me in the Discord. Ram Emanuel asks, ZFG, do you think SMS is objectively better than SM64 and why?
Maybe if it didn't have that intro.
Oh,
Yeah, God,
Okay.
dude, 8 minutes. I mean, you guys got what? It's like a 3-minute intro in OT,
Yeah,
right?
3-minute
Yeah.
intro. I mean, 3-minute intro, like it's pretty bad, but it's also not that bad. It's kind of like borderline.
it really isn't that bad.
Before really bad. I couldn't handle Mario Sunshine's intro. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. 7 minutes or something.
I
To
feel
be
like
fair,
It's so good otherw's though.
to be fair though,
It's such a good run besides that.
I have to point out that in N64 route, for most of the time that it was Child 1 in the first 24 minutes, almost like half of it or something was basically it was cutscenes.
Mm-hmm.
So there is that too. There's like 10 or 12 minutes of cutscenes as well in Child 1, in 100% for the longest while. So you have to consider that too. It's just it's broken apart, but
Although I think I might have a little bit of a higher tolerance because I also used to run MM, and first cycle
Yeah,
MM
same.
is
First cycle
pretty
is
gross.
yeah, dude.
When I ran MM, I ran it on and off for like several months period, and like every time I'd run it for a few months, and then I get so tired of first cycle, and I go back to OT. I go back to MM. First cycle frustrates me. Back to OT, and it happened for like 2 or 3 times until I just decided I like OOT better. I'm gonna play OOT.
Right. Okay. Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Any more, I don't think we have
We
any more
we
questions.
got one more question about why people run SM64 instead of VC. It's because way back in the day, I believe the Japanese players were unable to get the Japanese version of the game on VC. They got Shindu, and Shindu version of Mario, Chinese version, has BLJs. They don't work. And it has a couple other weird things, like when you grab trees, it gives you a weird angle. And so they played on N64. They got good first, where they were like the better players. And then American players started getting good, but they played on VC. And I think it might have been Gianu that figured out from Fire C that VC actually saved a lot of time in lag, not only in level. I think he first learned about it in levels, but then they eventually like started comparing it and realized that VC saved a lot of time. And they were like, well, they can't play VC, and we want to compare ourselves to them directly because they didn't have like an exact time for how much faster it was. So they switched to N64, and that's basically been it's like the thing because everybody just once you get good, you just kind of switch to N64 because everybody who's good is on N64.
Yeah, I think Alaris just timed actually VC versus N64 loads, and I think it's 51 seconds saved for 70 star, and just loading, not including lag in the in each star. So.
Oh wow,
There it
it's
is,
interesting.
dude. I actually just remembered the question I was going to ask because I read someone, Herrick, asked a question that reminded myself. So he asked, do you think there is a market for more competitive speed gaming, as in taking the concept of racing further? I want to know about you guys' opinion about that. What do you guys think about, I guess you could say, the more esports look of speedrunning with competitive racing, tournaments all the time, having prizes, stuff like that?
A little bit, but I think the thing about speedrunning is that because it's not direct competition, it's like say for a race, it's 2 people running on a completely different console, like they're not interacting with each other at all. It's just kind of who gets there first. And
Right.
it's still like very interesting to watch, but I don't know if it's quite esports material. If it was, I could see it for certain games like Mario 64 and Odyssey, but I don't know if I'd really see it for something like
Right.
OOT.
That's the thing. It's just so many games that it can't be. It'll have to be broken up by games, basically.
Yeah, I think speedrunning isn't really like built for that. I think.
I agree.
I recently got into watching Melee, and esports environment is like perfect for that. But speedrunning, it's just like I can't pinpoint exactly what it is, but it doesn't fit.
I mean, I don't think we have to mention esports when it comes to it. Just the fact of making it more competitive and having like these tournaments set out with prizes and other reasons to be part of the races and stuff. And
although I think another thing is that a lot of the focus on speedrunning is the PB or the world record, and that's not really what's going to happen in a more live setting like a tournament or something. And I think because of that, I think to some people who have been watching speedrunning for a long time, I think that might be less interesting to them because they know that they're not likely to see the peak time. And then there's also stuff like GDQs where you are kind of expecting that, but you're also getting a large variety out of it. Like I think GDQs do really well because it shows like such a variety of
It's not just the PB
what
grind.
speedrunning has to offer. Yeah, yeah,
Right.
exactly. Like there's so much that speedrunning has to offer, and GDQs show that off really well. But in like a tournament setting, it would be the same game. It would probably be the same category, and like a lot of people are willing to sit through many resets of the same game over and over. But there's also a lot of people that don't do that. That only watch like GDQs and don't really like watching resets and stuff.
Right.
And so I think watching the same run over and over again for a kind of tournament setting would kind of get stale when it's a race kind of thing. I mean, obviously there's still like the tournaments like that are getting popular on speed gaming and stuff, and those are doing pretty well, especially like Links to Past Randomizer. But that's kind of like its own kind of thing because it's randomizer that kind of adds that difference every run kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't quite see it happening with speedrunning.
Okay. How about you, Sam?
Yeah, I think it can go above where it is now. Like we can get more competitive, but at least in terms of races, like tournaments and that kind of thing. Because races have kind of, I don't know about you guys in the OT community, but there used to be a whole lot of races in Mario.
Speedruns live.
Very often, but now it's not really as much. But there's still races happening. It's in a different context. It's like speed gaming. I'm doing my Big Simp Invitational. Gotta plug that.
Dude. Yeah.
Doing the tournaments there, the races there, and that's pretty fun. And it gets pretty hype. Like the commentary, I love commentating the races. Although it is the same run, you end up seeing a lot of different mistakes. Like I've seen some new mistakes that I've never seen in my entire life. And that I guess that's kind of the exciting part, and you see different situations that people find themselves in.
That's the thing. I think, I mean, every time there's commentary in speedrunning and GDQs, etc., it's about explaining the game. But now simply as it incorporated commentary in terms of commentating what's happening in the race. So a lot like melee commentary, where they're commentating on what's happening, they're reacting to what happens. And he started doing that a lot, where if somebody makes a mistake, simply reacts to it. Oh no, failing outlets, but he's didn't try again.
Trying his best, struggling, can't figure it out.
That type of commentary, where you're reacting to what's going on instead of just explaining what is happening in the game, that I think is opening like a whole new part of speedrunning and racing that I think is so cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, babe.
Yeah, and the Big Sim Invitational, dude. It's like
the most fun too, because honestly, I've gotten so tired of like okay, at the GDQs it makes more sense to explain what's going on, but I think at this next race, that's the kind of commentary I do is like.
Oh yeah,
I'm so excited for that, dude.
That kind of commentary.
I'm so excited for that.
Because it's more entertaining, and at this point, people already know a lot about Mario, and if you don't, people know links to like. I mean, you can watch any of the GDQ runs, and you'll get a lot of information on what's going on.
I think that's also something that benefits Mario more in that case than something like OT, where OT there's just like so much to explain, and even like there's too many new people that would not know what's going on. Like it would be really confusing if you're not explaining it pretty consistently. Whereas Mario is mostly self-explanatory.
That's a good point.
Yeah, with OT, you need to know so much more before you can even explain what's going on. You have to explain like the 5 other glitches that's going on and what lets those glitches happen. And it's just like this long list of things that you have to explain.
Yeah, it depends on the game.
Go ahead, yeah. There were like a few points during even ZFG's run where he or us on the couch we're just trying to explain everything that's going on, but there was so much happening at once. And you needed to know everything about that it was just like a long like speech, and people were like, what do you even say?
Every single run. Go on.
There's one point when I'm entering Shadow Temple, like I have to explain super sliding, and I have to explain super slide teleport, and I have to explain Shadow early, and I have to explain why we're going to Shadow Temple before hookshot, and I have to explain the importance of hover boots early, and like there's so much to explain in like this 1 minute time frame. It's it's really hard to explain.
I remember seeing there are many parts where you already finished a temple, and 5 minutes later you're still explaining what happened in the temple behind. Because it's just so much to explain. But yeah, I mean, dude, every single run you do, you're always like explaining most of what you do, and that must be so tiring. I can't do that.
Yeah, because I realized that like OT is such a unintuitive game to watch. Like if anyone has not seen OT, then they are going to ask questions. Like that's just a fact. And obviously, there's going to be new runners, new viewers all the time.
Right.
So I just kind of have to accept that. Yes, I'm going to have to explain this a lot, and I'd rather explain it more than have people not understand what's going on.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's more fit in for OT as well. And especially, it's always changing. Like Mario has not. I mean, it's changed a little bit, but you can still see what's going on. But OT, when there's changes, it's like it's really changing, and there's new stuff happening that people have never seen. So.
All right, that's
Cool. Well, both of you guys are. Well, do you have anything else to say? I should say before I go for the close.
No, I don't think I.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good.
Awesome.
Cool.
Perfect.
Well,
right on the 2-hour mark.
Yeah, perfect timing.
Oh man,
that was really good.
TV.
Thank you very much for joining us tonight. You guys are both obviously now grinding 100% along, right?
Yep.
Doing a lot of runs, so
Yeah.
definitely go give both of these gentlemen a follow if you don't have followed already. If you're trying to watch some new 100%, they're taking it to the next level, going hard, making plays happen. Gotta love it. Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure talking with you, and I wish you luck with your speedruns.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It was
Thank
a
you
lot of
so
fun.
much,
Thanks.
guys. Appreciate it. Would I see you at SGDQ Fig?
Yes, I'm definitely going.
All right,
Party! Cool.
All right, thanks so much,
All right.
guys. I really
All right, thanks
appreciate
for
it.
having us.
Yeah.
And,
Love you. Bye.
See ya.
See you later.
Oh, wait, and we have Pac. Sorry, I need to announce the next guest. Next Monday, we'll be talking with Pac,
Right.
the owner of speedrun.com.
Oh
The
wow,
one and only.
nice.
That'll be cool.
Again, Monday, same time, same day.
Yep.
Catch you guys there. This would be uploaded to YouTube, highlighted on my Twitch channel and iTunes and Google Play. If
Yep,
I'm not
those
mistaken.
should be up by tomorrow. Well, it depends on when you get those.
Yeah.
You'll be up highlighting like right away.
Yeah, I'm gonna
I'm
be up
assuming.
tonight.
Cool.
All right. So
All right.
thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it.
Peace.
Goodbye.
All right. It was a lot of fun.
See y'all later.